Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Thank you
Assalamualaikum.
for tuning in for today's 5 Pillars of Islamic Wealth webinar. So this is our few sessions already. Today's pillar, we talk about inheritance. And before we begin, I would like to say big thanks to our venue sponsor, which is Orange Tea. Haha. Okay, so Orange Tea have gladly communicated with us. They did some agreements and collaborations. So moving forward, probably, I don't know, we might have, it's such a wonderful place. The whole place, the whole building, man. We are here at level 8, Orange Tea, to do our broadcast for today's webinar session. Also, we would like to welcome our very, very special guest, Miss Waty. Waty here.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi. Your group is in
AAG.
AAG.
That's right. Orange Tea under AAG, but apa tu, myself, I'm directly under Asy'ari Associate lah.
Okay, so there you
right.
go. So Miss Waty is today our very special guest who will share some views when I ask questions about inheritance, Islamic inheritance. Also, some of you might have already subscribed to our YouTube, whereby you will also see Puan Marlini. Yes, there you go. There is Marlini.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. And also Mr. Asy'ari. Waalaikumsalam. Okay, so I will be asking questions. The usual format of our webinar is that I will be sharing the questions to Marlini, to Asy'ari, as well as our special guest, Waty, whereby Waty especially will talk about property-related discussions with regards to inheritance. So for this 1 hour or so, I hope that you can stay tuned in. And then if you have any questions, please send to 84829563. 84829563. That's our hotline. My name is Zaid Masagos. I am the head of Amanah Advisory Group, and I've been conducting this particular webinar on the 5 Pillars of Islamic Wealth because apparently we realize that it is such an important topic that we believe it must be online, it must be on the web, it must be Googleable. So that there are people who are watching in would love to know more. And if you would like to go deeper, learn more, ask more to our panels, you're more than welcome to click into our link to ask for one-to-one. So that they can meet up with you and then address your see if we can address your questions or your concerns and help you, inshallah. Okay, so let's begin. Marlini, so
Yes.
in the inheritance pillar, okay, there's this very common question. I don't have much cash assets, but I own a HDB. Do I still need a wasiat?
That's a very good question. Yes, I think a lot of Singaporeans actually mention that, oh, I tak banyak duit, why should I make a wasiat, stuff like that. But if you own a house, actually automatically your house is also an asset for this. Okay, let's put this in general. Okay, a lot of people think that wasiat is something that you want to give away, right? Which is true. Wasiat means that you can give away up to 1/3, right? But in Singapore, it's actually necessary for you to have a will writing. Okay, a will writing means that not necessarily you give 1/3 as wasiat. It's actually to name your executors, and if let's say you have children, to name your guardian and stuff like that. Okay, back to the question. I have a house, I got not much money. Do I still need to do wasiat? Okay, so let's put it this way. Nobody knows, right? And usually if we talk about housing, right? Very common, you have a joint tenancy, right? Or the house is under your name single or tenancy in common, right? Okay, so of course for joint tenancy and tenancy in common, you're talking about at least 2 owners, right? And again, how confident are you that you will pass on, or your the other owner will pass on one at one time, for example, right? There are situations when both pass away at the same time, then what's going to happen, right? So if you do not have any will writing in place, you do not have a valid will, then you need to have administrator. And because housing, we are talking about an asset at least worth 500,000 on average right now. Okay, When you have such a big amount and you do not have a will, then you know that you have to apply for letter of administrator. For that kind of big amount, you need to have joint administrator. So now the problem is not only getting one person who is of the same financial standing or more or better than you need to find two of the same type, right? So that's when you will see that you have a lot of issues. And sometimes if a person who doesn't know the demographic of families need to get all the beneficiaries to sign for whatever documents, you have issues for that, right? So do you need WhatsApp? The answer is yes. Okay? To solve all this issue, instead of having to appoint administrator which may or may not judge approve on that, you name your executor. The executor who knows the demographic of your family, the executor who you trusted most, who can handle all such issue, who can handle all the monetary aspect, so that the process will become much easier in that sense.
Thank you very much, Marlini. Alhamdulillah. So, just now my question is that if I own a HDB, do I need a wasiat? But I thought of probably throw this question other than HDB. How about private property? Probably the best person to ask our dear guest, Waty.
Thank you so much. Okay, for private property, the function is the same. It's basically the manner of holding. So manner of holding ni we can divide it into two lah. The same principle, joint tenancy or tenancy in common. So joint tenancy means both parties. Typically, in most cases that we do, most people will use, or couples, husband and wife, will use joint tenancy. Joint tenancy means that they have equal rights in the house. Tenancy in common is different. Tenancy in common, you can specifically have the share 50-50 or 40-60, and this is important to know because in tenancy in common, if one of the owner passes on, and then maybe let's say, just for simple example, 60-40, the one yang passed away is the 40%. So the 40% is then subjected to faraid.
I see. Thank you very much, Waty. The most common misconception is that the fatwa that talks about if it is joint tenancy, right? If one person passes on, automatically the other person got the rightful ownership of the place, right? And they have this misconception that is only applied to HDB.
That's right.
So is it true? Is private property also applies the same?
It applies the same. And I think also since we are on this topic, the fatwa has also changed through time.
Okay.
If you have actually heard about, the cases, especially among our more elderly peers. Okay, back in 2008, the fatwa is slightly different. The manner of holding is still joint tenancy, but then the shares are not equal rights. Means that it's still 50-50. So in the event when the spouse or the one of the owner passes on, the other 50%, you must have the additional document of a nuzria, hibah, to ensure that your surviving spouse will receive it. So I think some of the elderly, our older generations, they didn't know that there was this new fatwa that came in 2019. So prior to that, if that fatwa in 2008 had a few problems, and some of the problems faced is, yes, we know that we have to, in order to give the surviving spouse that 50%, you have to do that nuzra, tapi didn't manage to do this document before they passed on. For the surviving spouses, it's very stressful because then they are pressured by the beneficiary to then sell off the house. So because MUIS recognizes these laws in 2019, we align it with the civil law. So align it with the civil law, then it means that in a joint tenancy, if one of the co-owner or spouse passed on, the right of survivorship kicks in. So I think in terms of property, this is also some of the maybe a bit not misconception, but maybe our elderly peers, they are still in like that old fatwa. They didn't realize that this 2019 fatwa has already kicked in. So there's no such thing as makcik, your husband has already passed on, you have to sell the house. If it's a joint tenancy, means no, the makcik can have that house because she's the rightful the rightful survivor of ownership kicks in.
Thank you, Waty.
Thank
Wonderful.
you.
Okay, so then it actually leads to this other question whereby that's provided you know who are the inheritors, right? Who are the beneficiaries. But if let's say you're not in contact with one of the inheritors, or the beneficiaries? Can we actually exclude the person from the inheritance or the faraid itself? This question I would like to ask Asy'ari.
Thank you very much. Again, Assalamualaikum everyone.
Waalaikumsalam.
Oh, testing. Sorry, a bit technical. So, the question you ask is, do we want to do kita lambat? Because in Islam, we want to have the inheritance. Money we have right now, we do not belong. It also not. And we are in trust of the money. The God us to trust us with His wealth to spend. And when we pass on, we do not own money yet. That money goes back. And Allah will dictate how that money is distributed. So yes, technically you get away, excluding certain beneficiaries in dunia lah. And then in akhirat, there are different question lah. So the proper question should be, can I exclude my beneficiary, but in akhirat I still selamat?
Very tricky.
In that manner, then the answer to that is no. Because everyone has a full ownership to your, and that ownership pass on.
Thank you very much, Syari. So when we talk about that towards the hukum of akhirat, right, which definitely we talk about faraid, I would like to go back to Waty, whereby what does a property come into play with regards to faraid?
Okay, basically, faraid is in simple definitive form is a way of distributing the deceased assets in according to Muslim law. Assets pula ni there's various categories to assets like your valuables, your jewelries, your car, and like what Marlini shared earlier, actually the assets, especially for Singaporean, is our homes. I mean, typically even a 3-room flat is already $300,000. So you
Yes.
put that under the shadow of assets that contributes to quite a large amount of money. So when we do our real estate business, of course, typically we do the typical selling and buying, but then we do also come across administrator cases. So in simple form, administrator case ni is when somebody or the owner has passed on, and as realtors, we are the one that is appointed to sell off this house. So that is when real estate agent like us meet up with come in contact dengan more on faraid issues. So then naturally, when there is administrator case, the first thing tanya is there a will. If there is a will, then Alhamdulillah, then it's a much more, I won't say easy process. Maybe still ada hiccup, tapi at least the executors have already been named. So it's more straightforward case lah. And then bila tak ada will, that's when you know that it can get a bit more challenging. Because then especially if there is like a lot of like recently I have a case, single owner who passed on without a will, and then ada 8 adik-beradik. So then with 8 adik-beradik, then you have to appoint someone as the administrator, and everything like that takes time. So in my real estate business ni, we are exposed to cases yang faraid macam gini when we do administrator cases. And actually, in my opinion, because in real estate, we are told to be knowledgeable, or we are supposed to have knowledge on faraid. But knowing knowledge on faraid alone is not enough. We have to definitely, and that's also one of the reason why we went for the classes that you all hold, because bila you when you see all these real life cases when there is no will, and how techy and difficult it can get when you are doing the conveyancing process of selling the house. That's when we were like, okay, knowing faraid alone is not enough. We need to dig in more. How do we then resolve this? That's when we took the effort to go and find out about the wasiat, and you guys did the inheritance course, which is very helpful. So in terms of the wasiat, definitely not only in terms of naming your executor, but then also in terms of your last wishes, all that. Like my single owner who passed on, he was very young, was only 40 plus. So if he had done a will, he can also include things like his, kalau dia belum beli haji, your badal haji comes into place, and your wakaf, your wakaf that can continue on.
So these are some of the things that I felt that we could share with our clients when we do administrator cases, because orang sendiri, the adik-beradik, would have went through that scenario and they then realize, oh no, it's this difficult when you don't have a will. So that's where I think, as well as the agent, we can then, okay, based on this case, kita boleh ambil iktibar, we can learn from this. You guys tak ada will, then should really consider one. So that at least with this, we can, is a lot of benefits lah to having a will. So definitely in terms of faraid and real estate, a lot that is interlinked. That's right.
Thank you, Waty. Very much
Yeah.
wonderful answer there. Then with regard to faraid also, let's say for joint tenancy, if the surviving spouse sells the house, and that means the one half passes on, the living spouse decides to sell. So if they decide to sell, should half the proceeds be distributed according to faraid? I would like to ask Marlini.
This is a very, very good question. Okay. So a lot of time, okay, we all now for sure already confirm no. If let's say joint tenancy, one owner passes on, then the next owner will actually fully own the asset. Okay. So again, when the fatwa comes about, it already falls under the concept of hiba. So hiba, we must understand, hiba means gift. So now the rightful owner of the asset is rightfully the surviving owner. Okay, let's say we're talking about husband and wife. Husband passes on, so the wife now fully own the flat. Okay, the property. That's right. Okay. Example, if let's say the property is so big, and let's say the wife is housewife, she doesn't have the means to even keep or maintain, sustain that kind of property. So the next solution is actually to sell away. Okay, so now this part is people will ask, oh, now you sell away, dalam harta ni ada harta arwah. You no longer need a roof, need the roof over your head. So you should distribute according to faraid. Okay, actually the answer is no. When we talk about gift, macam ibaratkan if let's say I give you something, right? Okay, now I give $1,000 to you. And let's say, for example, I didn't survive, right? Is this 1,000 belonging to you or is becoming my faraid? Definitely is actually yours, right? Yours rightful to keep. Okay. So back to the question, the answer is no. You do not need to distribute according to faraid. However, I do advise, if let's say, for example, if you sell the house at a very lucrative profit, and you have children, you have other beneficiaries that you feel that might benefit all this, why not use sedekah? Part of it, right? And it's part of your amal jariyah in that sense, right? So again, I want to emphasize here that if let's say, for example, we have parents, let's say a mom who sells the house and everything, and then how about the proceed? Yes, the proceed is hers because the house is now hers 100% rightfully. Okay, and she's not obligated to actually give to her children, but if she give, it's actually part of her sedekah, and inshallah Allah Ta'ala will actually give her the barakah for that effort.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Marlini. So with regards to faraid wise, and then even if the surviving spouse were to sell off, and doesn't fall into because it's already the ownership of the surviving spouse. Am I right to say that, Marlini? Correct?
Yes.
Right. So then that is provided the fellow seller. But if the fellow passed away, the surviving spouse, and then realize this, somebody else witnessed this happening. One person passed away, ownership go to the other one. Then this person start to realize that if I passed away, then what happened? I'm not selling it out, but I want to, keep to the property. But what if I pass away? Now ready to talk about wasiat. Say, really want to make the wasiat. So Asy'ari, what are the documents that need to prepare? This one applies to all lah. I'm just putting a scenario je, saja je. So let's say want to do the wasiat lah. Now I ada concern ni kan. My loved one dah meninggal. What if happen to me now? So I need to do a wasiat. What do I need to prepare so that I can create my wasiat?
Okay. So right now, you're already convinced the usefulness of a wasiat. What are the considerations lah? Okay, so we need to understand wasiat does not overrule faraid. Number one, wasiat is not for you to say, okay, I don't want to follow faraid, I want to set my own rules and therefore I do wasiat. No. In Singapore, we have AMLA, Administration of Muslim Law Act, which states that wasiat, no wasiat, you still distribute according to faraid. So what is the wasiat for? Wasiat got three purposes. Number one, you name your executor. Number two, you name your guardian if you have minor children. Number three, if you have wanted avocation, you want to will away. So first thing you need to decide is who is your executor. Is your executor going to be your parents, your siblings, your children, your saudara mara, your pakcik, your jiran sebelah? Who do you trust to handle your estate? Because, and also for you to consider, the people you trust might not be very good at managing money.
That's right. Yes.
So they just not money-wise not savvy lah. So then you would need someone who is good in money management, but also you need to trust.
That's right.
Good money management, you don't trust, they kebas your money. Then, so both must have this quality. So you decide who is your executor, you have to decide who is going to be your second executor. If let's say your executor passed before you, you never know. We see in the news, people 70 years old pass away, people 20 years old also pass away. Okay, so we don't know who is going to die before who. So you need to have a second one just in case. And then you talk about guardianship. Okay, when you pass on, naturally, if you have minor children, the guardian will be the surviving spouse.
What does it mean by minor?
Okay, so for minor, it's age below 21. So in Singapore, age below 21, they are deemed to not be able to handle money themselves. Okay, so someone have to make decisions, apply for school, manage their money and all that. So when one of the parents pass away, the surviving spouse is deemed to be the natural guardian. But we have seen cases where husband passed away, the wife was so dependent on the husband that the wife became depressed. And then the children had to go through the system. But luckily for that case, the uncle came in and adopted all the children. So alhamdulillah for that case. But we never know in our situation. So you need to decide if your spouse is unable to be the guardian, who is going to be the next guardian? Your siblings, your parents, whoever. Third thing is wanted allocation. As what Marlini said just now, if we have the capability, we will away to do ibadah. There's a running joke in the team lah. Kita tak banyak sangat pahala lah. Kita banyak dosa. So we have to get what we can get. So we build our saham akhirat. So we have wakaf, we have charity, whatever it is. Then you have decided these three, then you can go forward with the wasiat. In terms of documents that you need, that one you will have to check with the will writing company itself. Some require minimal documents, some require you to furnish all NRICs of all beneficiaries, whether they are alive or dead. So arwah parents punya death certificate, you have to furnish. So if you are a 70-year-old lady and your parents passed away 70 years ago, 50 years ago, nak kena korek.
Nice.
So that one, again, you contact us, contact any of the will writing company, they will then advise you for that. But the most important thing is the three: executor, guardian, wanted allocation.
So it's more like not really documents. It's like you must identify who do you want to appoint first, right? So actually, minimally, when we talk about that, is who you already decided to appoint. They need the IC. You need the IC of that who you want to appoint.
Correct.
Documents wise, lah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Asy'ari. You're right. So then leads to this one final question before we go to Q&A. There is one question that I would like to ask, whereby just now, quite related. What are some issues or the current issue faced by property agents like yourself on sale of house due to the death, also known as administrator cases without wasiat? What are the issues?
Okay, some of the issues. Okay, basically, when we receive administrator case, like just now I shared a bit earlier lah. The first is to us whether they have a will or when they don't have a will. When they don't have a will, then we know we have to preempt the clients that okay, Cik, this case probably gonna take more longer than usual. You have to give them, because usually naturally when they these administrator cases they would want everything to be completed very soon so that they can distribute. This is usually the norm. They want to move on. But the issue is because they don't have a will, then you have the paperwork process is very lengthy. So like the case I gave earlier, single owner who passed on, that ada 8 adik-beradik. So 8 adik-beradik, nobody is appointed as the executor. So like a real life example is that the younger sister took the initiative, took the liberty, because she felt that as the rest of the siblings are much more elder, so more leceh lah for them to go to the lawyer. So she took the initiative to go to the lawyer to appoint herself as the executor. But then after that, the siblings came back and they were very upset. They were like, why didn't you all discuss with me? We are your elder siblings. Why did you not discuss? So the lawyer, the meeting up with the lawyer, then after that got voided. So we started the process all over again by now them identifying 2 executor, which is then the 2 sisters. But then another issue cropped up. One of the siblings, the brother, does not want to have anything to do with this whole set of documents. Then this makes it very challenging for the lawyer, because to appoint an executor, everybody needs to give up their rights in simple form, give up their rights.
Renunciate.
Yes. Their rights. Sorry, sakit sikit. So they all need, adik-beradik tu semua kena turun to the lawyer's office to sign. So when you don't have a brother who comes in and signs, so then the lawyers wouldn't have to write in 3 times to go and try to get this brother to revert back. So all this takes a long process. And I think also when I see cases like that, it makes a reflection on myself. Like I myself, example, tak ada will. And this is what
You don't have a will?
in the process. Sekarang can share, right? I am in the process, because all this gives me real life example, to be very frank, because I've seen these cases. Then lepas tu I tanya diri I sendiri, do I want to put my loved one at this kind of stress? So back to the story of this single owner. Until now, it's already almost like 6 months. Still belum, haven't even get that letter of administrator out. So it's a very lengthy process, and then it's very emotional as well. So I think with will, you actually minimize, or you try to jaga relationship between adik-beradik. So these are some of the real life cases and experience that I go through lah. So definitely when there is administrator case with tak ada will, then it is a much more tedious process. Even for us, usually we buy and sell is like maybe 3 months, 4 months tops. But in administrator case, it can go on, and you don't even know, because these are the paperwork that needs to be cleared. So in a nutshell, with all these real life experiences that I got to see, it is definitely very important for you to write a will in case of kalau ada kematian. Then it eases the whole process. And back to the single owner, when the schedule of assets that he has, it was just a 3-room flat, 300 plus, then plus the your bank, your valuables. Maybe it's already like 300 odd, or close to maybe 400. But to me, that's already a substantial amount. And if it was a single owner, then we have to also remember about the 3 things when we passed on, right? But doa seorang anak yang prayers for a pious child. And the single owner doesn't have a child. So second, beneficial knowledge lah. So that one, wallahu we don't know. And then third is sedekah jariyah. So in this case, if you have already willed, tulis dalam your wasiat, in the event that if I passed on, I know I'm not getting married, example. If I do pass on, then at least I know for certain, in that sense, kalau I haven't do my badal haji, you all do for me my badal haji. If not a certain portion, I mean, you're already giving out like 300 or close to 400,000, right? What is a certain percentage to then wakafkan for sedekah jariyah for you in your life? So where I'm coming from is that with all these real life cases that I handle, it's also like a lesson for me as well. And when I do meet my clients genuinely now from the bottom of my heart, I do share with them. Okay, Cik, based on this administrative case that we have done, we already seen awal macam gini. How about Cik dengan Pakcik? Cik dengan Pakcik, you have the will. So if you already see first hand kalau tak the will, apa tu, it's very difficult for your other your spouses to then take care of your assets or distribute your assets for that. So this is when I think for real estates, with our real estate agents, we can come into play whereby we can also help lah to share this beneficial knowledge to our clients so that they have more awareness lah. Maybe sekarang there is awareness but maybe kurang. So I feel that my part as a real estate agent boleh lah take a small part whereby whenever, especially administrative cases like this, we can always share about the importance of having a wasiat. That's right.
Okay, so thank you very much, Waty. Well, just now, I'm not surprised actually. I just want to ask and check in here. Maybe the one that's tuning in are property agents, kan? And nothing wrong with that, as in you do not have a will. And I get to know Waty and her boss, Azan, Mr. Azan, who came to our class on inheritance,
That's right.
Islamic inheritance course, whereby you see today is just an hour of a webinar. And what you're watching is really, really, really compressed.
I totally agree with that. It's really very small percentage of what is shared.
Yes, and due to that limited time, so I'm very sure if you are watching this and you want to know more, we actually need to meet up with you one-to-one. Also, I strongly suggest that you go and subscribe to our YouTube. You can watch on other pillars as well. But if you want to meet any one of us down here, we are more than willing to help you, inshallah. And you see, as a very experienced 8 years inside the industry, and I think your boss, Mr. Azan, is how many years?
I think 20 years or more.
20 years, right?
That's right.
20 years, and then they came to our class. They told us that they got very enlightened. And this is 1 hour. Our class is 1.5 days.
That's right.
It's really extended. We want to make it as comprehensive as possible. And I think gave them the realization that even they also need to meet the wasiat, because without the wasiat, I think we already heard from an owner who do not have a wasiat and then passes on the kind of thing they have to go through a lot of issues, right? So a lot of it delayed. It's not a straightforward thing, whereby there's a lot of things that they have to go through, a lot of challenges. So a lot of very focused on the property part because of our guest, Ms. Waty here, and also some sharing from Asy'ari and Marlini. So before we wrap up the whole thing, any last words, Asy'ari?
Okay, so I just want to add on a bit on what Waty shared lah. So Waty shared about the letter of administration cases between eight siblings, right? For most of our participants, most of the clients that I talk to, they will say, no lah, my adik-beradik all very nice. This will not happen in our family. We are all berdamai and all that. So something that you have to understand is right now, you don't see $300,000 in front of you.
Agreed. Correct.
Because if I tell 4 of us, I'm going to put $300,000 on the table, confirm WrestleMania. Confirm. Free for all.
Royal Rumble.
Royal Rumble. Confirm. So the money you don't see, that's why all okay. Right now, when you see your house, every single wall is dollar sign. But you don't see it. But when you die, your family will see all these dollar sign. Then can you guarantee us your adik-beradik won't Royal Rumble? So that is what I want to inform all of my clients, participants out there. We doa. Our siblings are not like that. Our beneficiaries are not like that, inshallah. But we don't know, you see. I have friends, relatives. This year, 3 beradik, number 1 and number 3 gain. Number 2 tak gain. Next year, number 1 and number 2 gain, number 3 tak gain. And every year change. Then, so the wasiat just circumvent all this. I name one person, the rest cannot say anything. That one person don't want to do, we go to the second person. So this solves all this problem of everyone need to come down and sign the renunciation, agree to the administrator and all that. And let's face it lah, when you are 50, 60, 70 years old and your siblings are that age, you don't know whether they can even walk to the MRT station.
That's right.
That's a whole different issue. So just moral of the story, do a wasiat.
Thank you, Asy'ari. Wonderful. Lovely. Very interesting analysis. That's the fact, by the way. A lot of facts that we don't know, or we just don't want to know, or we choose not to know, yeah? Or we know but we don't know. Okay, so Marlini, any last words before we wrap up this session?
Okay, so for me is as long as you are Singaporeans and you have assets, whatever that you have, whether it's cash or house, just necessary to do a rewriting. Okay, as we have seen a lot of cases like Asy'ari have mentioned, in every family, definitely there tends to be some conflict. Okay, and again, when we do our rewriting or all these kind of instances, right? Let's throw away on the mindset that you want to block the faraid. That's the least that you want to do. Okay. Yes, you may not be on talking terms with your brother, with your sister, but if he or she have heart, and that is rightfully his or her, right? And of course, you can forget about, let's say you tengok drama Melayu that, oh, in order for you to own this house, you need to be married. Or this harta pergi ke this one cucu only. This will not actually apply in Singapore. I be real honest as it is, okay? Again, I've seen cases where people come forward and say that, look, I have secret stash. And this secret stash, I don't want my husband to have it. Okay, but when you pass on, there's no secret anymore, and he's entitled to that stash. Okay, so if really you want to give something, okay, let's say for example, okay, I have this pot that this is for my children's education, whether I'm alive or not, this is for his or her education. Then have an insurance policy, you know, or for that matter of fact that, okay, this money, let's say in event that you pass on, this amount of money will go to your children. Okay. Or better still, if let's say, for example, you have 10 children and individual children, you already allocated assets for them, right? Then do a living trust. Because whether or not you pass on or whether you're alive, this money is really meant for them. Because your gift is already given to them. It's just that the time is not right. Because your children may not even have the capability to hold that money, right? So do a living trust, because the living trust will do away, is not part of the faraid anymore. Again, do not do any living trust if the intention is to block wasiat. Like Asy'ari have mentioned that, yes, dunia lepas lah. Right, but akhirat, wallahu alam.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Marlini. Okay, so wonderful insights there from Marlini. So some last words to wrap up from Waty.
Okay, last but not least, maybe I just wanted to share. Sekarang there is a lot of rising trends for singles, and also apart from single, also blended families. Blended families meaning divorced then remarried. So I urge you, especially if you know fall under these cases, a wasiat is very, very important, because for example, blended families. If you have children from your previous marriages and all that, and sometimes they may not be part of your beneficiary, your heirs. So part of, if you do want to leave something for them, then that's when the wanted wasiat comes in, for example. So yeah, these are the few categories lah then that you have to really think about lah. And last but not least, for realtors out there, for real estate agents, knowing just about faraid is insufficient. So maybe perhaps we should gain more knowledge lah yang pasal wasiat and all that. And since we are on the front line, whereby we do handle administrative cases, which then leads to the faraid distribution, we can share whatever beneficial knowledge that we can to our clients, and inshallah help them. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Waty. Alhamdulillah. Okay, a quick share for our audiences. This is something that when I heard from some asatiza, some ustaz, and it is a continuous thing that I learn about the history behind the wanted. So this is to wrap up, to share to our audience today. So what happened was when Rasulullah SAW hijrah reached Medina. So when he reached Medina, so the people of Medina was so excited on the arrival of our Rasul. And some of them even say, what belongs to me also belongs to you. Then comes down Wahyu. The Wahyu says that no, even then, until you pass us on, 1/3 is considered a lot. Even 1/3. So that when the Wahyu comes, that means because there was some stages on about the wasiat part, how many percentage to who the inheritance. But when we talk about that one particular 1/3 part, actually happened right after the hijrah, the landing of Rasulullah SAW into Medina, whereby so many excited people to say, what belongs to me also belongs to you. So you can say it as a gift, but it is advised not to. Wait for you to pass on, and then even 1/3 is considered a lot. So that's where the 1/3 comes in on the wasiat part. Interestingly enough, after I listening to you guys and also listening to our past experiences, our participants, our clients, even from you also just now, interesting as the trend is so the river. It's not about giving away 1/3. It's not to give away at all. So interesting, yeah. And then on top of that is, or just specifically some to give. But that very nice history of how it landed into the 1/3 answers all. You can just give everything, even 1/3 is considered a lot. And then there is the faraid part, the whole very long ayat, how many percent to who, whatever has already assigned, because even back then, Zaman Nabi already have all these issues. So somehow time changes, mindset changes, trend changes, but the rules help.
That's right.
Somehow. And I would like to wrap up these things whereby, like what Asy'ari has also mentioned, to add on to what he said, you can do anything, magic and wonders to go to what in the law of dunya. And for that matter, I can only say wish you luck when you start to be judged with the law of go ahead, man. No problem. I don't bless you. I just wish you best of luck. And then last final words is that before we wrap up the whole thing, as in the whole webinar today, is that I love this question. And this question I asked my teammates. Waty here got asked a few times. And my participants, my clients, and it's a very important question. How many of you can guarantee tomorrow you wake up alive? We don't talk about health. Wake up healthy. No. Wake up alive. Even myself, over 23 years in the financial industry, I've already experienced twice someone passes on in their sleep. Then you wake up. Don't talk about meninggal accident lah, kena peti ke, whatever kan. All this standard lah. We talk about, that is what we thought how we die. But then least of it, the part that we always take for granted, wake up. Wake up. Please that's why you have to doa. Alhamdulillah. Dah bangun tidur tau. Happy please Because if you can't even guarantee tomorrow you wake up, what have you done to prepare yourself? Guess you don't wake up. Some questions for you to think of. So, we come to the end of our webinar today, and I would like to thank all the audience who has stayed on. I hope you have learned something. You can always click on to check to meet us with us. You can even meet Waty. You can ask whoever with regards to current issues, wasiat, that you need to know more. You have some very personal issues, some very sensitive issues. We are more than willing to help you, inshallah. And also, thank you very much, Marlini. Thank you very much, Asy'ari. Thank you very much to the people right at the back end there who has done a lot of setup here. Also, thank you to Waty as well as your boss who's not here, who had unable to be here. I think the next time he saw this, he'll be very excited. And big thanks to Orange Tea for giving us this wonderful venue, very nice place for us to do this particular podcast on the inheritance pillar. So, to wrap up the whole thing, wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.